Alright guys, so today we're going to be going over all of the Jailbreak seasonal vehicles inside of the new season system here. You guys can see we've had 21 seasons so far, so today we're going to be going over all of those level 10 vehicles. Obviously, I'm not yet level 10 inside of the new season, so we won't be able to check out the OG monster truck, but I'm pretty sure you guys already know what that one's like anyways, because, you know, we had it in the past. But for the rest of the vehicles, I have literally all of them. I have every single item inside of Roblox Jailbreak as of now, and, you know, I can pretty much check out anything I want. Yeah, let's not waste any more time and let's get straight into this with the Beam Hybrid. But first, you guys will have to give me a couple of million years to find it because this UI has horrible navigation. Alright, there we go. I finally found the Beam Hybrid. There it is. You guys can see this is the Beam. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what this vehicle is at this point. It's pretty much the most overrated vehicle in the entire game, if I'm going to be honest. Stats-wise, it isn't the best. It's kind of average. It's sort of what you'd get for around $200,000. The model is obviously turning 4 years old this year, so that isn't the best as well. You know, it's getting kind of outdated, but it looks pretty good for the time. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. The Beam Hybrid overall, it's really expensive in trading, so I wouldn't really recommend getting it. It's honestly not worth it at all. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Beam Hybrid. On to the next vehicle now, which is the crew capsule here. You guys can see this was added in Season 2. This vehicle is also known as the Flying Egg, obviously, because it looks pretty much just like an egg. The top speed is also like garbage, only goes like 90 miles per hour at max, and even then you'd have to be going downhill for that. And probably the worst part about the crew capsule here is that it spins around all the time, which makes it really hard to control because you don't really know which way you're going, you know? Everyone was really hyped for the crew capsule when it got announced, but yeah, when we started unlocking it, you know, it wasn't the best. It was really bad, and it still is. And I've heard that it's also really expensive in trading, so yeah, honestly, if you want to get this, I'd say only get it if you really want it for some reason, but otherwise just try to avoid it. And I know a lot of you guys will go in the comments saying like, oh, super, it's all good for gameplay, you just spawn it in and immediately get away from all of your enemies. No, it's not like that, man. It goes 90 miles per hour, it's a giant egg, and it has literally no HP at all. It's super easy to disable, but for some reason I can't shoot it now. No, that's a bug. Alright, let's try shooting it over here. How much HP does it have? Okay. Only 60 health. See, it's not good at all. You could easily disable it, yet people still think it's like the best car in the game. It isn't. Like I literally just said, it's a flying egg. It goes literally only 90 miles per hour, and it's really easy to shoot down. It's not worth your money. If you want something better, just get the Celsius instead. It has much more HP, it flies faster, it flies higher, it's also spawnable since it's a seasonal vehicle, and honestly, it's just much better overall. But now let's go ahead and move on to the next vehicle now, which is the Volt 4x4 here. It's actually really forgotten. I barely hear anyone talking about this thing. And the one main downside to the Volt 4x4 is it's really wide, which makes it really hard to like get around because, you know, most of the map is really small and you need to use a small car to get around. But this is like huge. You guys can see here I'm in the criminal base and I'm just constantly hitting everything because of the huge hitbox. And it's mainly just the spoiler on the back. It's so big. Please, whatever you do not take that out of context, but still, you guys get my point. It's huge, it's hard to get around with it, and overall, the stats aren't even the best either. The top speed is really high at about like 200 miles per hour, maybe even higher, but the acceleration is really bad, and as I said, since the vehicle is so big, you'll pretty much never reach it because you're constantly hitting things. Literally, the only time you'll find yourself hitting the top speed on this thing is if you're in a private server alone with vehicle collisions off just in case something spawns in, and you also have to make sure that you're on the highway because that's the only straight road on the map that will allow you to hit this top speed. So yeah, don't spend your money on this. It's not really worth it unless you're trying to collect every item in the game or you're just a big fan of the model and you really want it for some reason. But yeah, Badima was on quite a big streak with horrible seasonal vehicles here because if we go ahead and spawn in the next vehicle here, if I could even find it, it's like completely forgotten nowadays. Yeah, we got the Rattler here. I don't really know what made them choose this vehicle, but for some reason we have a vehicle that barely fits the game at all, and it barely fit the theme of the season either. It's really weird. The stats aren't even that good either. Like the top speed only reaches about 200 miles per hour, maybe even a little bit lower, like 190. And the acceleration gets really bad after you reach about 120, which is not that good at all. But while the top speed and all of that stuff is kind of bad, the off-roading is actually kind of good just from driving it around a little bit. You know, the off-roading is probably the best thing that this vehicle has to offer. But otherwise, yeah, the stats aren't that good, and yeah, just like the previous vehicles, I wouldn't really recommend wasting your money on this in trading. But after Season 4 and the Rattler, you guys already know what it is. It's the banana car, my favorite car in the entire game. And honestly, the banana car is actually really, really good. The acceleration is good. The top speed also really nice. For being a banana, the off-roading is also, really, really good. And the best part is it seats 3 people, including the driver's seat. Overall, really nice vehicle. And I promise I'm not just saying that because it's banana and it's funny. It's literally, legitimately really good. It isn't something that you should necessarily try to get in trading, but it's more like something you should get after you get some sort of better car. So if you want to go ahead and get it, I guess there's nothing really stopping you because it's actually really good. But now entering Season 6, you guys already know what it is. It's the Beignet, probably everyone's favorite Bugatti in this entire game. Stats-wise, the acceleration is nice, the top speed really, really good. The handling is also quite good, it's not the best in the entire game, but for being a Bugatti and going how fast it does, it's really good. I'm not too sure who made the model of the Beignet, but it does look really nice. I love it. Overall, if you guys don't have the Beignet yet, I definitely recommend hopping into trading and trying to get it. It's kind of one of those vehicles that pretty much everyone wants to own. It's really nice, and that is for an extremely good reason. The Beignet here is probably one of the best vehicles in the game, and it's no surprise that a lot of people want it. So yeah, if you don't have it already, definitely try to get into trading and try getting it. But, yeah, that's the Beignet. Really nice car. And now in Season 7, the season that came after the Beignet in Season 6, we have the Icebreaker here. Now, the Icebreaker didn't really fit the season that it came in, but, that doesn't mean that it isn't a good vehicle. The acceleration is pretty much the exact same as the Roadsters, which is extremely nice. The top speed is just a little bit lower than the Roadsters, but to compensate for that, it does have an extra 2 seats, which is very, very useful. Other than that, though, there's not much else to be said about the Icebreaker. The handling is really nice. The model, in my opinion, is extremely good as well. It's not really something you must own like the Beignet or some other vehicles like that, but, if you want to go ahead and get it, it's still a really good car, so I definitely recommend getting it. But now after the Icebreaker, we enter Season 8 with the Celsior. Now the Celsior here obviously isn't as good as something like the Blackhawk or something like that, but it's still really, really good. As I said earlier, if you're trying to get the crew capsule, I definitely recommend getting this instead because the Celsior is a much better option. The top speed is pretty much the exact same as a Little Bird's, which is about 114 miles per hour, which is really good for a spawnable flying vehicle. You got to keep in mind that this is spawnable. The model looks extremely nice, and it does seat 4 people, including the driver's seat, which is going to be extremely helpful in public servers as well. So yeah, overall, Celsior, definitely a really good vehicle. It's not necessarily something you should definitely get in trading, but if you have the money to get it in trading, I definitely recommend getting it. It's kind of the same story as the Icebreaker. It's not really something that you have to own, but if you have the stuff to get it, I definitely recommend getting it because it's really good. Now entering Season 9 here with the Jackrabbit. Obviously, this wasn't actually a level 10 vehicle, but it was the only vehicle in that season, so we're just going to pretend it was level 10 because it was the vehicle for that season. And yeah, overall, the stats aren't the best. It goes about 130 miles per hour-ish. It goes a little bit higher, actually. I think like 150. The acceleration isn't the best either. It's pretty much an off-roader. It's best at off-roading, like the Volt 4x4 and the Rattler and those vehicles. So yeah, it's not necessarily built for speed and stuff, but if you like going off-roading, then the Jackrabbit is definitely your best option. And now we're pretty much halfway through all of the seasons at Season 10 with the Macron here. You guys could see this is pretty much the last Bugatti we ever got in Jailbreak as of now. Now the Macron isn't really one of the vehicles that you should definitely own like the Beignet. Like, it's still a Bugatti and it's really good, but it's not really as good as the Eclair or the Beignet like I mentioned earlier. And that's mainly because the top speed and the acceleration is just a little bit lower. It's not too much lower, like it's still really good as I said, but it's not really to the point where it's worth getting, Like, if you have the money and all of the stuff in trading to get it, go ahead and get it, but it's not really something that you have to own. It's kind of the same as the Icebreaker and the Celsior. But I will say, though, the model of the Macron looks extremely good, so if you like the model of it, I definitely recommend getting it because it's really, really good stats-wise, and, if you like the model, that just makes it even better. But now on to Season 11, where we have the Bloxy and the Tiny Toy. Both of these vehicles are actually really good, but since the Bloxy is the actual level 10 vehicle for that season, we'll just be going with this instead. And now the Bloxy here is actually really good stats-wise. The top speed, really nice. The acceleration is kind of good. It's not the best, but it's up there, pretty good. And the thing I like about the Bloxy the most is the turn speed is pretty much instant. You guys could see that is the fastest turning speed in the entire game. I could be going like 180 miles per hour here and instantly turn down this. Okay, well, not really instantly, but it's the fastest turning speed in the entire game. So you won't be able to get this with any other vehicle. You know, you could be going extremely fast and you could turn extremely easily. Like right here, I'm going about 140 and I could just instantly turn onto this road over here. It's extremely easy to use and overall really good vehicle. And if you like Lego vehicles and you know you just like that style, then I definitely recommend getting the Bloxy as well because it fits that style really nicely. But now Season 12 here goes pretty much a whole 180 from all of that fun, cool vehicle stuff, and we go straight into the military, which is extremely fun. You might think that the Goliath is like the worst vehicle in the game, which stats-wise it is, but you know, otherwise, it's actually a really decent vehicle for being a huge, giant tank. The off-roading is really good, you know, it goes off-road really nicely, and the seating capacity is literally the best in the entire game. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11 including the minigun. That is absolutely huge. So if you're trying to go for top speed or acceleration, then definitely try to avoid the Goliath, but if you're trying to go for max seating capacity, like which vehicle could hold the most people, then definitely go for the Goliath. In that case, it's probably the best in the entire game. Overall, the Goliath is not the best vehicle in the game, obviously, but you know, if you're trying to look for certain things like seating capacity, then it's pretty good in that case. And now in Season 13, we have the Bandit, and honestly, this is kind of just one of those mediocre seasonal vehicles. The acceleration is probably the best part about this vehicle, but even that is just kind of mediocre. You know, the top speed only maxes out at 190, which also isn't that good at all. And yeah, overall, the Bandit here is kind of just one of those forgettable vehicles. You get it, and you have fun with it for a little bit, but then you pretty much just instantly forget about it, which is kind of sad, but that's just what it is. But now in Season 14 here we have the Proto 8, and I know a lot of you guys love this vehicle, but if I'm gonna be honest, it's pretty much just a copy paste of the Roadster, and even then the top speed isn't as good as the Roadster, and it's just not really that good at all. I also forgot to mention this, but the price in trading is also really bad. Like, it's extremely expensive, man. It's not worth it at all. Like, I will say the model of it looks really nice, and it's probably one of the best in the game, but otherwise, you know, the stats aren't that good. It's pretty much the exact same as the Roadster. So if you like the model and you just want to get it for that, then I'd say go ahead and get it, but otherwise, if you're trying to get a really fast car with good acceleration, then just go ahead and get the Roadster instead, because this is not worth your time. And now in Season 15 here, we have the Shogun, and I'm pretty sure you guys know this vehicle as well. A lot of you guys really loved this when it released. And I will say, overall, it's a pretty good vehicle. The top speed maxes out at about 210 miles per hour, which isn't the best, but it's still pretty good. But, you know, the acceleration is kind of slow, so it kind of sucks to reach that speed. The handling isn't like the best in the entire game, but it's still pretty good. And overall, it's a pretty cool little seasonal vehicle here. If you don't have it, then it's not really something that you have to get. But if you're into the style of the Shogun, then, you know, there's nothing really stopping you from getting it. It's kind of good, it's kind of bad, it's kind of in the middle. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and get it just for the model, then I definitely recommend getting it. But if you're going for stats, then I'd say just go for something else, because in that case, then you could probably get that with some other cheaper vehicle that is much more worth your time. But now in Season 16 here, we have the Poseidon with the beach-themed season. Obviously, everyone wanted this vehicle at the time, but now that everyone has it, everyone kind of forgot about it. Overall, it's not really a bad vehicle. You know, it has a good top speed. The acceleration is kind of mediocre. It's not the best, but it still exists. You know, it's not as bad as some other vehicles. And yeah, overall, the model is also really good, so if you want to get it, then I'd say go ahead and get it, but it's not really something you'd use all the time. It's kind of just one of those vehicles that you'd collect over time. But yeah, that's a Poseidon overall, pretty good vehicle. If you want to get it, go ahead, and yeah, otherwise, that's it. And now in Season 17 here, we have the Power One. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys already know what vehicle this is. The acceleration is pretty good, you know, it's not like a Roadster or something like that. It's pretty much the exact same as the Beignet or something like that, you know, it feels around there. The top speed isn't anything crazy, you know, it's not like 300 miles per hour or something, but it's around 220, 250. Yeah, you guys can see here it starts slowing down around 230, so 230 is about the top speed. The model of the Power One is also great. Whoever modeled this did an amazing job with it. And yeah, the Power One here is definitely a vehicle that you should probably own in 2024. The stats are amazing. The model looks really great as well. And I believe it's about $8 million in trading. It's obviously not as expensive as something like a Torpedo, but it's still pretty expensive, so it'll take you a while, but it's still pretty good. And now in Season 18 here, you guys can see we have the Longhorn, and the Longhorn is pretty much copy-paste of the Bandit we went over earlier, but with a cool convertible on the top here. You guys can see it like goes up and down. It's really, really cool. So yeah, the Longhorn here is pretty much just an enhanced version of the Bandit, so if you have one vehicle, you pretty much have the other. So yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for the Longhorn. Overall, decent vehicle. It's not really the best. As I said, it's pretty much the exact same as the Bandit. We went over that earlier. You guys already know its flaws. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next vehicle here, which is the Frost Caller right here. You guys can see this was the vehicle we just got recently for Season 19. It's pretty much the same story as the Goliath. If you're going for top speed or acceleration, then definitely avoid this, but otherwise, it's a pretty cool vehicle. You guys can see here on the back, it actually has the ability to tow vehicles, which is very helpful if you like towing vehicles that are stuck in, you know, a place that shouldn't be away from that spot. And actually, not a lot of vehicles have this feature. I believe it's just the Frost Crawler and the tow truck, so it's a pretty exclusive feature. And it also seats 6 people, which is very useful as well. But now in Season 20, we have the Striker, and I actually haven't used this vehicle much because this is actually one of the newest seasonal vehicles. You guys can see this was added during the Apocalypse season, so that's why it looks like that. You know, that's why it has all these spikes on it, that's why the windows are covered, and you know, that's what this whole theme was about. The top speed isn't really the best. It goes about 150 miles per hour at max, and the acceleration also isn't that good at all. It seats about 4 people, including the minigun and the driver's seat, which, you know, isn't the best either. And you know, while the Striker here is a cool vehicle, it's not really something that you have to own. Really, the only reason I have the Striker is for videos like these and just so that I could have every item in the game. But yeah, otherwise, there's not really any use to this, and if you don't have it, then I wouldn't really worry about it because you're not really missing out on much. But yeah, with that, those are all of the 21 new seasonal vehicles inside of Roblox Jailbreak, obviously excluding the monster truck because no one has that yet. Out of all of these vehicles, I will say the Beignet is probably the best, obviously because it's Bugatti and it was added in a racing season, so, you know, no wonder it's like the fastest out of all of these. But yeah, with that, that's pretty much it for this video. I just got my Beignet stuck here in the prison, and I'll see you all in the next one.